All right. Our next question, Jim, sent to CornyDriveThru at gmail.com from Lucas Brock.
That just sounds like a tough guy name. What are you, some kind of tough guy? Lucas Brock?
Is there ever a place for comedy and wrestling? If so, when?
Oh, God. You'll know the moment when you see it. No, yes, there's a place for comedy and wrestling. There always has been. And it's not about when as much as about who and how. That you always, I've said a lot of people didn't understand the Memphis territory because they thought, even some of the people in the business who didn't work there just saw it from the outside because they had a weekly territory. And now that we're seeing a lot of historical research by guys like Scott Teal in Knoxville and Nashville and Amarillo, Texas, and the starting of traditions that we thought were invented by Dory Funk Sr., maybe older than him. It was a West Texas tradition. But you made people believe in your talent and that they were real. And then you had them do sometimes violent things to each other or sometimes humiliating things to each other. Because in weekly territories, in small population centers, in small markets, you had to get repeat business 52 times a year. And you couldn't hospitalize somebody every week. But if you got people mad at the heel, and then the baby face that they believed in did something funny to humiliate the heel, then it was even better sometimes than getting heat in a violent physical way, because you hurt that guy's pride, and then the heel would come back and try to get even and blah, 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 and you'd be off to the races that way. There's room for comedy with the managers. Obviously, if you go back and look at 80s TBS on the network, on that 2-hour Saturday night TBS program, I was the funniest guy, and I was actually one of, give or take, if Paul E. was around, one of 2 or 3 funny people to begin with at all. Nobody else was being funny, which is why it worked. And also it worked because the people believed that I was a prick. The people that were with the business, they knew what I was doing and they were with it fine. But the average fans, they thought that I was a prick. So when I said funny things, I've made this comparison a million times. A joke about somebody's fat wife is funny, but a joke about your particular fat wife ain't funny. When I would say funny things to tear down the baby faces, the people who liked them would be mad at me because I was a smartass, not laughing because I was a comedian. It's context, and it's who's doing it. You can make fun of the baby face, the heel can, without going too close to the bone and revealing his weaknesses. But then in the end, the heel has to get his comeuppance. But the baby face can humiliate the heel and everybody can laugh at him. The fucking, the times that the picture of my mother was revealed and had been replaced by a fat basset hound or whatever. Oh, but then we go out and we try to break the Rock and Roll Express's leg. Or we tarred and feathered Magnum TA on television as a way to humiliate the babyface to force them into giving us a tag team title match. Maybe a few people chuckled, but most people weren't laughing because the way it was treated seriously. It wasn't, and we weren't doing it for laughs. We got death threats over it. Bobby Eaton got his car tarred and feathered over it by the fans. It's who's doing it for what purpose and the context. Sometimes a funny interview is great. And when the managers get into it, or you've got a babyface girl and a heel guy, and they have a fucking fight. There can be humor in all of these things. There can be humor all over the place, but you can't just go out there and just ass off and just make fun of the profession and make fun of the entire program that you're in the middle of when there's supposed to be serious parts of it. You have to do it because it's natural to what's happening at the time, and not because you're trying to be funny and entertaining. I've always said also, if you're sitting in a diner and you look out the window in the wintertime, and some old guy with a hat on, carrying a bunch of packages, slips and falls down, throws all that shit up in the air, and it all comes down on him, and he ends up with a fucking, a sprig of celery on his fucking head and cans stuck up his ass or whatever, you'll laugh. It's funny. But if you look out the window and you see the same guy and he's looking around to make sure somebody's looking at him before he takes the bump on purpose, it ain't funny. You're like, well, that's a dumb son of a bitch. You don't go out trying to be funny first. You go out trying to get the point over first, and then if there's some humor or entertainment to be had in it, and the right person is doing it, and in the right context so that it doesn't look like a hokey fucking set-up deal, then yes, shit can be hilarious. Is that over and above everybody's fucking head? It's simple to me.
Well, again, if you grew up in the modern era, you may not understand that. You've seen a very different style of comedy and wrestling on Monday Night Raw, and everyone copied Raw, and Impact, and TNA before that, and AEW now. A lot of these guys who just think they're naturally hilarious and really want to display it to the world, whether or not it gets them over more, doesn't matter. They want to show everyone how funny they are.
Well, I ain't amused.
All right.
You know what they ought to be spending more time on, Brian?
Then comedy and wrestling?
Then comedy and wrestling?
I can think of a number of things, yes.
Shaving their balls.
That wasn't on top of my list, but yes.
That would be on the list, because if more of these guys shaved their balls instead of thinking up weird, stupid things to do and say, then we'd all be better off, because we wouldn't have to look at their bad comedy and listen to their hokey material, and whoever has to be scuba diving around their nether regions wouldn't have to part through Sherwood Forest to get to Old Maid Marian. One way or the other. I don't know. I just made that up on the spur of the moment. But anyway, folks, if you go to manscaped.com, our friends at Manscaped have everything you need to have the Grand Canyon and the entire Redwood Forest clean shaven, smelling good, not chafed, soft, slick, the whole 9 yards, and smelling good. Did I mention that? Whether it's the new Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer, waterproof, with advanced skin-safe technology, no nicks and cuts. It's even got the LED light, as we mentioned. That's another thing I did this morning. I took a few whacks at a few stray weeds with my Lawnmower 3.0, because even though it was dark, it has the LED light on it. The Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, that could help you breathe better than ever. You know, when I trimmed the hair in my nose, I found out that I could breathe so much easier because there was so much blockage there from all of that growth. Holy mackerel. And I was going to braid it, but instead I just whacked it away with the Weed Whacker. The Performance Package also includes the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, no chafing, and the Crop Reviver Ball Toner keeps the boys fresh. The Crop Mop Ball Wipes. If you're on the go and you don't know when you're going to get around a shower again, but something may happen, just fucking whirl one of those around the melons and you'll be fine. The Foot Duster Foot Deodorant. The Refined Cologne by Manscaped. I'm telling you everything, and they even throw in a travel bag to carry all of your goods. Well, not those goods, but the goods you buy from Manscaped with one of these great packages. They've got everything, folks. Go to manscaped.com and use the code DRIVE, D-R-I-V-E, to get 20% off and free shipping. It's cold weather now. It's getting colder. We're going to be spending time inside more. Don't go into crowded gatherings where you could get sick. Instead, spend more time alone, just you and your balls. Manscaped.com. Code DRIVE, 20% off and free shipping. There you have it.